All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. So, like I just said, for those of you just joining us online, I'm going to talk a little bit. I have kind of a topic in mind, and then we'll do kind of a round table because I think that we get a lot out of round tables. Yeah. So, what I was going to kind of start with is, and what we've heard kind of over and over from a lot of really successful top agents within Keller Williams is about systems and in making sure that you have systems in your business. And I think that kind of taking from their sessions and that comment and knowing how to look at your own business and make it fit. And because sometimes when you're in some of these larger sessions and these people are doing, 10 million GCI and, crazy numbers, it's great to get tips from and see how they run their business and how you can, eventually grow your business and your production. But I think the overall theme is that you have to have basic systems in place, whether you're a one-person individual agent or you're a team of 10, 15, however many, grow to. And I think that when you're listening to some of these, like you kind of hear systems and it kind of sounds daunting, and you think like it has to be this big, complicated thing, and it really doesn't. It doesn't at all. So we had I was in one session with that family reunion, and it was a top agent that he was saying about having systems. And he said the importance of a database. You hear that continually, the importance of a database, whether it's EDGE, whether it's Top Producer, whether it's you keep it all in your phone, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be this fancy, complicated system. So I guess that's my kind of starting point. And for us, we use Top Producer. And I've looked at EDGE and I like it, but we've used Top Producer for 20 years. So we just change everything over now. What is Top Producer? Top Producer is the similar idea to EDGE. It's all internet-based. So you sign in, got a login name, password, it's all on the web. And it's basically, it can do kind of a whole gamut of things. It can strictly be just a place to keep track of your contacts, your buyers and sellers, your business, all of those people in one place. And like it has, your basic contact information. You can add notes. You can add your listings and your closings and have the parties that are involved listed. You can have banker, lawyer, all of that kind of tied into your transaction within that program. So it keeps everything together in one place. But it doesn't have to be something like that. Like EDGE has got a great platform for that too. That it does for you? Like yes. Yes, it does. We don't use that function in it. But yes, it does. So what do you use instead? We have a online newsletter that we subscribe to that we can customize. So that goes out to all of our contacts once a month. And we then at the bottom have 4 of our featured listings. And then it comes with articles already loaded that they do every month. It's all Canadian content. And you can brand it however you want. So we've got it branded at the top with our team, Keller Williams Experience versus team, for the 3 of us. And then you can kind of add an article, you can add a little message on the side. We kind of change it for seasons, but it's very basic. I can't hear the comments from other people on their own. We haven't started talking yet. Okay.
Now, I looked about the online, course marketing now, and I haven't really even, gotten into all of the things that they can do. And one of them was online, like an e-newsletter.
Yeah.
So what I was going to ask is, do you find that your clients ever opt out of that, or does it go into their spam? Does any of that happen? Because that's my concern, is that, people either don't want to, because personally, I hate getting those emails, like not in particular email, but sometimes I go into my email and I've got them from every friggin' business I've ever gone to. Like, you go to American Eagle and they want your email or whatever. So now I just say no. But don't you have to get their permission to send them email?
If you already have a business relationship with them, it implies consent.
Oh,
But you have to be very careful about that. Yes, if you're just someone that you don't have a relationship with, that you're just emailing, then yes, you do this.
Right. Okay.
So if it was someone that maybe you met at an open house that you didn't know, you just had their email from sign-in sheet, say.
Right.
Then in that case, yes, you would.
Okay.
But a past seller or a past, yeah, so they've already given you an email, you've already.
Even if you wanted to send it to your spirit and like, you would just have to, like, say, look, I'm going to be sending out, an email. So I often wondered about that, whether it went into spam or if people, just went, oh, no, not again, but I would just always.
And it's important to give people the option to opt out.
Yeah.
Does it happen? Yes, it does. But we have other people that continually read them, and sometimes we'll email us back and say, oh, that was really great. Oh, that was really great. So yeah, I think it's important to kind of keep track of all of your clients, whether it is in something sophisticated or something simple. Okay. Like I said, we use ours primarily, like, we don't use it to send out touches from ours. We use it more for keeping track of clients, of the files themselves, who's involved in the transaction, that kind of thing. But it does, and then of course we use it kind of for our Christmas card list. We can create words, right, so that you have your list of that. But just from like,
There's the story I was trying to get that figured out. Why are you just wanting to do it all? Like the touching and like your database, so you get it separated and all the whole problem associated with that, right?
yeah.
It's just have fun.
Because the amount of contacts we have in our database right now is so numerous, because it's like 20 years being in business, that to switch it all over to something else is going to be a huge process and very time consuming.
Right.
We would like to switch everything over to EDGE so that we could be all in one system, but we just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Okay.
Anyway, go ahead. So the other thing I was going to talk about, and kind of all in the systems theme, is whether you decide to keep everything online and you're doing digital files for your listings or your sales, or whether you're deciding to keep paper copies or both. We do both. So we'll have a paper of actual physical paper file with, and we're big on checklists. So like for a listing check, we have a checklist for our paper file. For our sale, we have a checklist. If you don't have one and you decide to keep actual physical files in your own personal office rather than just relying on the office here to have your files, the office checklist is a very basic point to start from, because it's got got most of everything that you're gonna want to make sure you have in your file. And it reminds you to keep on top of things. So if you're missing, you can kind of revert back to your checklist and see, like, I missed this form, or I'm still waiting for them to send me this, and then help trigger that reminder for you. We like both. We do still keep our own paper files in our office. We send everything, obviously, the office here has everything, and then we have an online as well. So some of the things, like on our checklist, that you might not see on the office checklist would be like, was the sign ordered? Was it ordered up? Was it ordered down? Did you check with Heritage Gas? Like, you put the sign up. In neighborhoods that have gas lines, you should get a permission to take form, so that you're not sending the sign guy out and he's under the gas.
Okay, so that's our responsibility, that sign guy, obviously.
Yeah.
How would the sign guy would know that?
Yeah.
Would I know that? How do you know that?
You can call it, you just call Heritage Gas.
But how do you know that it's in a gas area? Like, how would I know?
Yeah, you just call them. Like I know roughly where some are, like anything in
Maybe
health.
natural gas.
Natural
right?
gas,
Okay.
yeah, like it's mostly the newer subdivisions you're gonna find it in. Like up on Royal Hemlock, we've got it running up in there now. There's some subdivisions in Dartmouth where it's running through.
So would it be on somebody's front lawn?
It could potentially be.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's responsible.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that, Melissa.
Mhm.
That must come from experience. I'd like to hear that story.
Well, it didn't actually, we didn't have any nasty
Oh, that's
situations.
good. Oh, come on, make up a story.
No, we didn't. But yeah, years ago, they actually had a form you could send into Heritage Gas. Now you can call them. They've got a form you need number.
So you call them and you say, yeah, there's a gas line in that neighborhood, so then you need a form?
So you just have it was just a standard request to dig form or permission to dig.
Right.
All you do is give them a specific address, and they'll tell you whether there's a line on that property.
Oh, okay.
And then if there is, like,
Then you need to get the
adjust
specifics
or-
from them where it is. So if it is happens to be in the front of the property, you know where it is, so that way you can sign in. Not gonna problem.
Well, I wonder what would happen if who would be responsible? Or the gas man, or the line, or the sign man.
Ah,
I'm gonna say sign man.
Yeah, I'm gonna hope sign man. No, it probably would, that's a good question.
Yeah,
But they asked us why they live here.
yeah,
Who asked us?
Sign.
yeah. The
Oh,
sign
do they?
people ask-
You.
ask
Oh,
us.
do they?
Yeah.
Okay, I've just never had that experience, so.
So keeping kind of on the listing side of things, another system we put in place, which really has found help, is a handy dandy documents needed for your listing form. And it outlines everything that you might need from the seller to accompany their listing paperwork. So we've got location certificate, occupancy permit, property tax statement, et cetera, all kinds of things there. So you can what we like to do is when we do the CMA with them and they know that we're feeding them again to list, or right in the listing appointment, go through this with them and cross off what they don't need, check or circle what they do need, and say, these are the things you need from you. If you don't have them today, then we need you to dig them out and sign them for us. So that way, you've got them up front. And this is a system we've learned this from experience, because you don't want to be scrambling when the offer comes in and that seller is now going to take them 2 days to find all this stuff, right? So if you're getting it up, all of it on the front end, it saves time. And a lot of times now when you're having a really serious showing from a serious buyer, they're asking for a lot of the stuff before they even bring the offer. So it's important to have it all on file if you can, get it from them right up front. But this was something we added more recently, and we found it really helped that we went with the right paper on purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Can I know you?
Yeah, you can.
Do you have that on?
Yeah, it's just a Word document, so I can email it.
Okay.
No.
Occupancy permit.
Like they ever make it, like they're new building.
Yeah.
New construction.
We ask for it if they have it, and that's how we frame it. If you have it, you may not have it. Older homes, very rarely will you ever have it, or you ever come across a home with it. But yeah, new homes, they should have it, especially the homes we built for them. But even in that situation, they may not.
Water and
Because if they're on wells, any service invoices for the servicing their equipment. If they're on city water, a lot of people are now asking what they pay annually for water.
Right,
Yeah.
so, water bill.
And some of it, some people don't want, but other, most of it, I think, that a buyer will ask for.
So if they have photos of any exterior photos, you ask them to send it to you online so that you can.
Yeah, so that's an example of seasonality. So if we're listing something now, we always ask if that exterior photos. Just because everything looks so bland and boring now that if they have anything, even the garden pictures, it can kind of show what the yard looks like.
So you would put that on, like, bring up front, even though you like that.
Yeah.
You put a garden picture?
Yeah.
On.
We put it up with the listing. We wouldn't put it as our front photo,
Yeah.
right? It wouldn't be the primary photo, but it would be one of the photos that we'd include as part of the property, so that people can see what it actually looks like in the summer.
Well, there's forms there, I tried to I know she was there.
So another thing that we do on the listing side is that we, usually after their listing has been inputted and is active on the system, we send them a thank you for listing with us letter. And we also include with that a copy of the listing cut. We email that to them so they can see the listing cut. And that's something we implemented because it also helps you as another double check, so that they're proofing their cut, so that if there's something in the write-up that's not quite right, or something they don't like, they can still come back to you and
You just
say,
prepare not to, really, didn't you?
yeah, yeah,
And then the client to, and,
yeah. So that it just helps to keep everything organized, and it helps to make sure you're accurate with what you've got on your list. So another thing, you guys are going to laugh at this, but on the listing side, when you carry a lot of listings, you've got to have a way to keep track of them. You've got to have a way that if someone's going to call you on a sign or email you and you're on the road, you can quickly pull up that price or pull up that seller's name, phone number, whatever. So you'll laugh, but we have this is in Dropbox too, so we can access it all from our phones, but we have a listing list, all of our listings, organized by price. Now you can do it however you want, but we find it's easier, so we organize lowest price to highest price, right down the list. And we've got the price, property address, seller's name, contact information, email, and any sort of special showing instructions. If there's an alarm, if there's a door code, if it's vacant, if there's a tenant, the tenant's phone number is named, so that when you're out on the run, on the fly, and you get that call or that email, and you don't have time to go back to the office, you don't have time to get back to the computer, you've got it all right with you. So we carry that around with us, and that's the system we started quite a few years ago, and it's really, really helped. Okay, so that's just another little.
The next question to that, how do we all get as many listings?
Wish I needed that, Liz. You can, farming area work,
But you know what,
That's
sometimes,
how mom and dad started.
Yeah.
We had a farming in an area that they knew well, like, dad was in the model home every Sunday selling lots. And if you wanted to buy a lot, generally you probably had a house to sell, so sold the house, sold the lot, helped
yeah.
set them up with the builder to build them the house, and years and years and years, people started to see you in the neighborhood, and that's that's how it worked for us. And then as you become known in that neighborhood, of course, you then establish more relationships, and then you're starting to get referral business from people too, right? Which is good. Yeah, and on the listing side, with request forms, we do that all up front too. So power, oil, we get taxed, and all of that right up front. Do you do a form for that? They won't give it to you, even if you have the form signed, Privacy Act. So
Your seller needs to get it, yeah.
seller
for
needs
sure,
to get it. That's the one thing that they have to get for you.
And if they don't have it, you get a copy of it.
Why wouldn't we have a copy? Just 'cause
Most,
we're there.
if they call HRM themselves, they'll email them a copy, and it shouldn't. Okay.
And, they can now the history.
Oh, yeah. It is, because if we call, and that's why I said the signing of the form doesn't even work, if we were to call personally, they charge you about $30, which is why you have to pay yourself.
Oh,
Yeah. They used to years ago give it to us over the phone, and now they charge us.
But they won't charge the seller for it.
No.
And even if you go on PDSC, doesn't, if you, a copy of the
You can get the assessment, but not the
but not the current tax.
So on the sales side, the checklist is even more important. And so again, like you can use the office checklist as a base for your own files. The important thing with the sales is having a system in place to keep track of your condition dates. And that's where the checklist really comes in handy, because you want to make sure that you're keeping on track of those dates, whether it's a sale on your listing or a sale where you're representing the buyer, so that if you're coming close to your finance date and you don't have it, you can follow up and avoid that 11th hour amendment if possible.
So now that's a question. Do most of you follow up for a financing letter, or do you assume it's, I don't know, assume, or, but you know what I'm saying. Okay. So if the date goes by, you're assuming that they have financing.
Are you talking about for your own buyer or for?
Well, usually for my own buyer, I want to make sure they have financing, right?
Yeah.
If you're on the listing agent.
Yep.
And, you know, during the first sale, they've got all the conditions, and you're waiting for those, you know, for that condition date to go by, and for the other agent to say, we're firm. How much do you follow up to make sure they're going to be firm, or do you just not do that?
We normally ask the other agent if they can send us a finance letter, knowing that they don't have to.
Right.
And you're gonna
Some
get that
agents won't.
pushback from
Yeah,
some that
yeah,
they won't, and that's
absolutely.
fine. In that situation, then we just say, no problem, that's fine. Could you at least send us an email confirming that
Yeah.
financing is in place and the deal is firm?
Yeah.
That's all you can do. Other than, the only other way to avoid that is to actually write it in your agreement that you want them to provide a finance letter.
Right. And sometimes they just won't.
And part of that is,
privacy for the other, because there's other information
well,
sometimes on
sometimes
that.
they're not just the blank
Right.
kind of, so
Exactly.
running the
It has all
side
kinds of
property.
information.
It says, you know, the term and the
Yeah.
amortization
Yeah.
and what they're integrating. So they don't want to send that over. And that's,
Yeah, for sure.
So one of the other things we have in place for our sales that come in handy is, we've got to remember to notify document done up. And it's just a one page. And basically it's all the places that you're, either seller or buyer, depending on which side of the sale you're representing, to remind them things to do to access the deal firm. So for instance, water hookup or disconnect, HRM Water Commission phone number, electricity, and power, their website, their phone number, phone and cable, so you've got Bella, Alliant, and Eastlink phone numbers, Canada Post for change of address, their health card, propane or oil company. Yep, health card. Change your address. If that's income tax, yes, bank, financial planner, insurance. So it's just to help people remember. And of course, like we usually.
That's just an added benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. So we usually email it out to our clients once the deal's firm, and then if there's something we feel like they need a little extra reminder, usually what we remind them is to order their power disconnect or connection for the closing date. And that is from experience. We've had both buyers and sellers on our end and on the other end that haven't done it. And it can be quite a problem because they'll push power if it's the time of year when everybody's moving and they have a lot of power connections to disconnections. It could be a good 2 weeks before they get it sorted and changed over the proper name. So you want to make sure that they're on top of that.
You know, in Brookside, where I live and I sold in there, they only have meter readings and disconnects and stuff on Tuesday. So there has been, and I thought, the first time my client told me that, I thought, oh no, there's obviously, I better call them myself. So I called Nova Scotia Power, and I could not believe it. So for instance, if your place closes on, say, Friday, right? Well, either the buyer or the seller has to pay for the Tuesday, the Wednesday, the Thursday, the Friday, right? Or no, well, yeah, exactly. So, or from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And I can believe it. I'm thinking, oh my God, like, wow. And really, sometimes that can cause a big problem. Like, especially in the winter time. Well, I'm paying for 5 extra days of, power when I'm not even going to be there. It's not going to be my house or, whatever. It's crazy, but it happens. It's true. And it's crazy. Well, now that I know that.
Normally no. No, normally no. Well, one or the other usually just
does it. Yeah, exactly. But, sometimes it can be an issue, especially if you're closing on a Wednesday. Well, if you're closing on a Wednesday, then that's no big deal. But it's when you're like closing on a Friday.
Is that the only area that does that?
I can't imagine. It just happens to come around.
We run into that if like I said, it's a busy time. Like if you're trying to close something the end of June, end of July, when everybody's trying to close things, if the seller or buyer left it kind of late, to order the disconnect or the connection, then they've had to kind of bump it back or forward to whatever next closest date is, and it's been in that situation when it's up to 5 days difference that one or the other has to take that.
And if it's in the winter, it's tough, especially depending on the time.
We don't want to see one, like, maybe you do that ready to call you for 40 minutes.
Yeah, and I never thought of that. So.
Yeah, no, but now you know, and now it's all about.
Right.
But in the grand scheme of things, 5 days of power is not going to cost you.
No, and it really is not very much, but it's the mindset.
So one of the things that we found initially with, and I keep saying checklist, we love checklists. We started with checklists for ourselves. So then eventually when you get to the point, or if you choose to get to the point where you're going to expand your team and you want to have it in, then it's something that is very important for them to have and to help keep them on track as well as you on track with your files. Or if you have multiple members of your team, and maybe you have more than one person involved in a file, it helps keep everybody on track and on page. So, yeah.
So you guys probably don't get congratulations on the sale. Unless they're just congratulating you on the sale.
We still do. Everybody does.
I know.
No one is immune.
Yeah, it's really good that, I think Dotloop has that. Set up tasks.
Yeah.
And timelines.
Yeah.
Dotloop to not only remind you, but remind you how it expires.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If there is a loop, yeah, I haven't done it myself, but like if it's,
Yeah.
get a copy of property taxes, get it, for that, all electronically, and then it's sending that.
Yeah, it's really neat. We're not using that either.
No,
We
neither.
use our Google Calendar. We set reminders in that, and then it'll pop up for everybody. So it might be, order the sign down or pre-close, book the pre-closing or whatever it might be, and that'll pop up on the Google Calendar, and then you'll have that reminder a couple days before.
And I've got an old-fashioned whiteboard in my office.
Whatever works.
I know. I need the visual. Like I need the pink and the purple and the, on my board. I think. Right. So when I walk in here in the morning, I don't.
So well, I'm sure you can tell I'm kind of all about the statements.
Yeah.
But part of this, this was another kind of system we put in place because it's a showing record, especially now.
You're not showing.
Yeah.
Can go back and look at it.
Yeah. So,
you have fun.
oh really? Yeah, in new laws. They are supposed to be bringing that back. New laws. But
Oh,
set up the
that's
broker meeting.
I had to go read my, what do you call it? Keypad. I had to go
Yeah.
read my keypad because
And you can,
people had gone in my basement listing. So I had to go find out.
but this is a great way, again, when you get to if you get to the point where you have multiple people involved, you've got an assistant or you've got more than one team member, keep track of showing an appointment on your listing. So we find this really helpful because we have the date of the showing, the property, the agent, the feedback, whether it was given, whether the appointment was confirmed.
Do you have that on your phone or something? Because like if you're out and about, like.
We carry paper around.
Oh, okay, right on.
We find it easier.
Yeah.
We're on the phone so much already. And usually when we're getting requests, a lot of the times when we're on the go with someone calling, we can't be on the phone and write it down.
Yeah.
So it's a really good way that we find to keep track, and then we all kind of regroup every morning so that, say, we might in one case have 2 lists going. So if Dad's doing appointments and I've got calls coming in or vice versa, I may have a list and he may have a list. So we may both meet, so then we meet up and make sure we're all.
Do you use like an email, like how sometimes other agents and other brokerages, when you're viewing your property, they send you an email confirming and then a feedback sheet? Do you guys have anything like that?
No, we don't do the automated feedback. Our personal opinion is that we'd rather have something a little more personalized back from the agent. We'd rather talk to them.
Yeah.
Would be our first preference.
I'd rather have to not chase them.
Yeah.
My first preference.
Well,
yeah.
That's unfortunately that.
And I do, I chase them down and go.
Yeah. and unfortunately you have to sometimes.
I know.
It's the way it is. But no, we prefer the phone contact or email as a secondary, but something a little more detailed than the form. But everybody has their own preference. I know there are other agents that use those kind of.
Yeah, I don't like them, and I'm so glad you don't use it. I don't like those, but it's just to me an easy way to say things that you wouldn't normally say on the phone. So or gives you as an agent an opportunity to say, well, what was it that exactly like this didn't work for my clients? Well, oh my God, I hate that. And so I just always ask why.
An important thing with that too is if you've got a listing that has a kind of a special thing where you're getting that feedback, the same feedback consistently, and you've already addressed it with your seller, that seller may have already said, well, I'll do this. And I'll give you an example. We have a listing that currently got 2 bedrooms up. They converted the 3rd bedroom to a big, beautiful walk-in closet. Well, they'll convert that bedroom back if someone wants to, no problem. So to get that kind of feedback, you want to be able to say to the agent, well, they'll make it with their bedroom, if that's the issue, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's one of those kind of, I don't want to say negatives about the technology where we don't have that face-to-face contact as much anymore, but it is because you are able to kind of not overcome the objection, but it might be something that you can still work with and get them kind of reconsider. So yeah, we're looking on both. And we don't really like text for showing appointments. We've actually changed all of our showing instructions to say no text for showing.
And why is that just?
Because we find that the texts are harder to manage. They're coming to just one specific number.
Oh, okay, right.
So with a phone call, like we have a phone number that people call,
Right.
it's easier for us to manage.
Right.
Same with an email. We have an email address that we can all get access for all texts, and we can manage that a lot easier. With one person getting the text, if that one person's out with an out-of-town buyer all day, they can't see what those texts, right? So, yeah, and we find the feedback, again, coming back to that clarity and that extra kind of touch. What you're getting in a text is usually very short, abbreviated. Sometimes you don't even, you're like, what? So, like, we try to do phone or email when we're giving feedback, and like, we're thinking the same way. Question? That was kind of my overview of what I wanted to cover.
Would you be able to email us that,
Remember to notify?
Yeah, remember to notify them.
And I should.
Yeah, well, the checklists are the standard ones.
Yeah, I mean,
They're on Dotloop.
the checklists are, I think Erin actually has them up on Weebly.
Oh, yeah.
The listing and sales checklists for the office. And the ones we use personally are very similar to what the office has. I think for our listing checklist, the only difference is what is assigned was ordered and the natural gas thing. And I think over there that might be that. I think that's the main difference we have on ours. I don't think there's anything different on our sales checklist. I think we've got everything same. Yeah.
I usually staple those to the front of my file, and then just always promote it from actually, I kind of confused myself a little bit because I started using colors for certain things, and then I forgot what colors I was using, and then I said, no, okay, that's not working. But, because my goal is to not get congratulations on the sale. Email ever again.
Are they that bad?
No, they're not. No, but they're not, I'm just joking, but when you think you've done everything.
I know.
And it's like,
I know. And like I said, we get them too.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, right. It gives it, yeah.
At the
That
end of the
somebody's
day,
looked at it
if
and
my
done
phone
it.
burned down and I didn't have one, like, I'm just making it extreme, but at the end of the day, if everything else fails, like, that somebody somewhere has a copy of everything I like.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so worried, like, I worry about that stuff so much, like, what happens if Dotloop dies?
Yeah,
I don't know.
We keep like our paper cup files, we keep them all, right, and we set them all stored in filing cabinets for 7 years, right?
I just find that so much easier. I mean, Dotloop is great when you're sending in
It is.
all of that, but I want to have a little folder with all my stuff in it so that if I need to go look at something, I know it's right there and I got it. And, that's just personal preference. I think.
It is.
It's mine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And feeling.
Yeah. And I love Dotloop. It's made life so much
Yeah.
easier.
Oh,
Like all the, like we don't use it for a sale unless we absolutely have to. Like, it's great if the clients are out of the country or out of the province. We like to sit down with our sellers and our buyers, like when we're going through the sale paperwork. There's just so much to cover, and that's when the questions kind of come up, so you can easily guide them through whatever question they have. But it's great for amendments or, you know, any kind of little change, or initially you might omit that you need, you know, you can realize afterward, I have a
Yeah, I know, yeah.
So, yeah, it's great that way. And I know we've had some clients that have been out of town that it's dealing with things much.
But even if it's a timeline too, like, you know, you just, like, I would never send somebody something in Dotloop without obviously calling them and saying, okay, here's the amendment, this is what it means, this is what it says, this is what it's signed, you know, and, I mean, it's just like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and for the most part, I think all of the clients we've used it with have been very positive. Like, everybody's had a very positive experience with it. So we've had some that, I can't do it, I don't know technology, and you can say to them, like, it's really easy.
Yeah.
Click in the email, walk it through it.
Yeah.
And I've been on the phone with people with clients, you know, it's
Nothing
nice
on
to
the
them.
phone.
She calls me,
Okay, how come this isn't working? How come I
time. I'm like,
I
Holly, I
know.
can't show you my face right now. I'm like,
Okay, turn into the computer, what does that mean? And don't look at me.
It could be even like, I haven't done it, but I thought to myself, I will in the future, even if I'm writing the offer with clients, I'm gonna write it in front of them and send it through Dotloop to them in front of me, so that we're dealing with that, first time of using it together. You know, we need to, you know, we're sitting down in person, but then they know how to use it.
Send it to them, right?
Like, we're doing, you know, we go to a client room, we write an offer, I do it
Oh,
all
okay,
up
so
on my
you're-
phone,
okay.
and we're gonna, like, get them to sign it. And so that they know,
You're not a fair house.
no, but like, or I could do it after I was with my laptop too, yeah. And then send it to them. Just because then you avoid that one part, I don't know what to do, or you get like, and I always tell them, click a document sign, and then I get something back that looks like handprint or something, I don't know. Like when they.
They try to
Oh,
sign
when
their
they
own
do their
signature.
own, yeah. Yeah, I would
Scribbled
say-
up everything.
Question?
Like, give me a little bit. No, we talked mostly about the listing side of things. Kind of circling around and covering most of it. Anybody else?